So this is going to be a wonderful cap to a very long, but hopefully very enjoyable day for everyone. Everybody have a good day today? Yeah? Excellent. So thank you for joining us for the official GE-Reagan Foundation Scholarship Program Awards Dinner. Just really quickly ask you to silence your cell phones if you have not yet done so. And tonight we are going to begin with the national anthem. And performing the national anthem for us tonight is a very talented young lady named Allie Hepps, who's going to come up and sing for us. So I ask you to please rise, and she will lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was amazing. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Wow, look at that. They bring out the very best just for you. So at this point, I'm just going to invite you to enjoy your dinner. Following your meal, we will begin the formal program. So thanks again.
Hi. If you please would continue having dessert, drinking coffee, whatever. I hope that you've enjoyed your dinner underneath Air Force One. We specifically wanted to have dinner here tonight under the wings of the aircraft to give you an indelible image of your time here that you'll remember. For those in these three tables, we were talking about this at dinner, there's only one time that the plane is shifted a little bit under. So if you well, you might find yourself at the Reagan Library. Tonight's event, and certainly the scholarship you've earned, would not be possible without the tremendous support of General Electric. As you've seen through your tours here, Ronald Reagan and General Electric, GE, have a deep history together. It's important for all of us to recognize, I do every day, that if it weren't for the astounding financial contribution to establish this program, there just plain wouldn't be a program, and it's all due to GE. They've not only provided lots of financial support, but a lot of guidance to the Reagan Foundation in shaping and helping select our recipients and creating policies for the program. So we cannot say enough about them as a company. Along these lines, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you someone special to the Reagan Library. He is the Vice President of Strategic Communications, GE, and I think maybe a number of you had the chance to meet with Gary a little earlier today. And he is a really dedicated member of our selection committee, so much so, Gary Sheffer, that it's not maybe known too widely, but Gary's leaving GE after a lot of years and hard work as the right-hand man to the chairman and CEO of the company, we asked if Gary would stay on the selection committee in the years ahead because, he's not just represented GE well, but he was literally a founder of this program. I can say with all sincerity, I remember the day I sat in the offices that you were in upstairs and I was pitching Gary about what a great idea this was, and he was the guy to take it back to the boardroom and to the chairman and CEO of the company and make it happen. So everybody here tonight who's going to college, in part because of this scholarship, you definitely need to be thanking this next guy. His name's Gary Sheffer, and Gary, if you'd please come on up.
So I didn't tell John I was going to do this tonight, but I'm a Republican. I've been a Republican all my life, and my grandfather was the mayor of the town that I grew up in, so I'm Republican. I'm over the age of 50. I'm standing at a podium. So tonight I want to announce my candidacy for President of the United States. So thank you. Thank you very much. Gail, what is that, about 100 now? Are we? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the program and some lessons that I've seen. GE, we're all about leadership. Really, we're this crazy conglomeration of different businesses, and currently we have everything in our portfolio from credit cards. When you go into the Gap or one of those stores and they ask if you want to save 10%, that's actually GE. That's a GE credit card. To the engines on this remarkable piece of technology that's hanging over us, to our founder, Thomas Edison. So what ties all of that together in 175 countries around the world really is leadership. And it's what we're known for. It's one of the reasons why we're inviting all the scholars every summer now in August to our Leadership Institute we call it Crotonville because it's in Croton-on-Hudson. We talked to them. We spent a couple days just like this, just talking about leadership with folks from GE and West Point and other places. So if that's not on your calendar and you're able to make it, please let us know. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and some of the things I've learned over the years. And I think right now, I can't see the monitor. If you see a picture of a petite little lady, that's my mom. And so this is my first piece of advice to you tonight. Be good to your parents. They mean well. And my mom was the daughter of Italian immigrants. She was raised in an apartment over a pool hall that my grandfather ran for many years in the small city of Hudson. That's in upstate New York, right on the Hudson River, of course. She lived in Hudson all her life, and she raised 4 kids. And if you think the American dream is about, having the freedom to pursue opportunity, you're only partly right. The real dream is watching your children have the freedom to pursue opportunity and accomplish great things. And that's why I know all of you parents must be so proud to be here tonight. It's also in part why I wanted to start with this photo. And let me give you the background on it. In 1982, my mother visited the Reagan White House. My brother Ken worked on National Security Council staff at the time, and he brought my mom to the White House briefing room, the press briefing room, and he took this picture of her standing at the briefing podium. Then he sent the photo through the White House staff in the hope that President Reagan might sign it. He didn't have high hopes, just given how many requests that presidents get, and he wasn't expecting it to come back quickly, and maybe it would take a couple weeks at best. But the very next day, one of those manila envelopes showed up in his office. He opened it, and he found what's on the screen, the picture of my mother with a personal inscription, "To Rachel Sheffer, you would make a fine stand-in. Best regards, Ronald Reagan." Now, tonight I want to talk a little bit about why Ronald Reagan wasn't that far off, why, in fact, my mother would have been a great stand-in. She was a clear thinker and very tough-minded, Although I should add, at about 5 feet tall, if she were to stand in, they would have had to have a much shorter podium, right? I also want to talk to you about what lessons you can take from my brother's story as well, too. Specifically, I'd like to talk about the leadership traits of making human connections, optimism and confidence, and finally, wanting to be in the game. But let me begin by telling you about our relationship with Ronald Reagan, meaning GE's. In the summer of 1954, Ronald Reagan, at the time a broadcasting and film star and renowned head of the Screen Actors Guild, started a new phase in his career. He started working at GE. And at the time, we were having a hard time determining who would be the best public face of the company. We wanted someone who had the skills of a good salesman, someone who could do more than entertain people, but also inspire them, someone who possessed that quality of character called moral fiber. And the answer was Ronald Reagan, and from 1954 until 1962, he hosted General Electric Theater, a drama series that aired Sunday nights on CBS. And some of you, I think, saw some of those episodes out in the museum. But that's not all he did for us, and this is really the important part. It's really not all we made him do. As part of his contract, the president, or Mr. Reagan at the time, became an employee ambassador, traveling all around the country to different sites. And he did that with great energy. He'd ride on trains to visit GE plants, speaking hundreds of times to tens of thousands of our workers. He started at dawn and would get to his hotel after midnight. And then he'd do it all over again the next day. Mr. Reagan walked every assembly line at GE, every single one, close to 140 different plants. He had lunch with employees in the cafeteria, he wowed managers, he impressed our customers. He did all of this by demonstrating a trait common to all great leaders. He didn't just talk, he listened. In fact, he later described his GE experience as a graduate course in political science. It's true. GE saw his roving ambassadorship as a way to engage our workforce. Reagan saw it as an education. So who got the better end of this relationship? Was it GE for getting our high-profile spokesperson, or was it Reagan for getting his education? And I think the answer is undoubtedly our country. Why? Because the education that Ronald Reagan obtained changed history. Talking to GE employees started a transformation that turned him from an entertainer into a champion of freedom and eventually leader of the free world. It informed his views about things like how government can encourage or obstruct the initiative and entrepreneurship of the American people. And it's a tremendous source of pride today for our employees that we played a part in shaping what was President Reagan's defining optimism. Optimism in what the American worker could do, what could accomplish. Optimism in what our country stood for and still does. Optimism that we can compete with anyone and win. But we can't do any of that if we hide from our problems, if we kick the can down the road, if we face great challenges with only posturing and analysis. That's another way of saying whether in business or the public sector, we need ideas. We need the courage to try new things or to do things differently. We need to work together, but mostly we need leaders. Leaders like President Reagan. Leaders like the ones you all are today and will become. And that's why we sponsor the GE-Reagan Foundation Scholarship Program. It's why we've invested in your potential and in your future. So what exactly then are the attributes of a great leader? I don't pretend to know them all, but I will share a few insights, things that I've learned, things that I've seen over my years in politics and journalism and business. The first lesson is the one that I take from that photo of my mother. She liked Reagan before she got that photo, that inscription. She loved him afterwards, right? My brother gave that photo to my mom. It was, I think, one of the happiest moments of her life. And she displayed it in our family room until her death, partly because she was so proud of my brother, but also because President Reagan, someone who seemed so untouchable, had made a personal connection with her. Ronald Reagan, there's a great story about President Reagan In a letter he received from a seventh grader back in 1984, the boy wrote, "Today my mother," this is a seventh grader, remember, "declared my bedroom a disaster area. I would like to request federal funds to hire a crew to clean up my room." So Reagan actually wrote back to him and said, "Your application for disaster relief has been duly noted, but I must point out one technical problem. The authority declaring the disaster is supposed to make the request. In this case, that is your mother." So the letter continued, "I'm sure your mother was fully justified in proclaiming your room a disaster. Therefore, you are in excellent position to launch another citizen volunteer program to clean it up, to go along with the thousands others already underway in our nation. Congratulations. P.S. Give my best regards to your mother. Sincerely, Ronald Reagan." So here's a guy with a great sense of humor, right? Great storyteller. But the foundation of these talents was an understanding that great leadership requires an ability to make a human connection. Only with that can you motivate and inspire people to act. Leaders have a realistic sense of optimism and confidence. Reagan took over at a time in America when Americans weren't feeling too good about themselves. In fact, in 1980, America was experiencing something Reagan knew was not natural to the American character: a crisis of self-doubt, shrouded in the lingering shadows of Vietnam, Watergate, stagflation, the energy crisis, the outrage of the U.S. hostages in Iran, and worried as our Cold War enemies went on the offensive. And while not everyone agreed with the policies, what was undisputable was that his optimism moved America in the right direction. You couldn't question the strength of his faith in his country, the faith which he communicated to his fellow Americans by word and deed and inspiration. His greatest achievement, in my view, was to encourage Americans to believe in ourselves again. And today is a different time. We face big challenges today as well. We're trying to tackle some of them at GE: energy, transportation, healthcare, figuring out how the brain works so we can solve diseases like Alzheimer's. So what if my bosses went around and said, "Boy, those are tough problems. I really wish somebody would do something about them," right? If that was the case, our customers wouldn't be our customers for long, and I know our employees wouldn't be inspired. Instead, we like to say that GE works. We build, power, move, and cure the world. We build things that matter. And this goes back to our founder, Thomas Edison, who said, "I figure out what the world needs and I proceed to invent it." We carry that spirit to this day. So you can't lead without confidence. People don't want to follow finger pointers, and they won't for long. They follow problem solvers. As President Reagan said, "If you're afraid of the future, then get out of the way, stand aside. The people of this country are ready to move." And that brings me to my last point that I want to make. You have to want to be in the game. I mentioned the lesson from my mother. I think my brother often offers a lesson too. He, like me, went to a small but terrific college, Siena College in upstate New York. Go Saints! Like me, he was hooked on politics at an early age. In his school, he was head of the Model UN team and was president of a senior class. When he graduated, he got in my mom's car with very little money and no job and drove to Washington and volunteered for the Reagan campaign. He started as a gopher, he worked in the mailroom, and by inauguration, he was on the National Security Council staff. And soon after that, he had enough cachet to one-up his little brother, me, forever by getting our mom, Ronald Reagan's signature, which you just saw, which I've never forgiven him for. Today, he's a senior counselor to some of the most influential business leaders in the world, and he's my best friend. You don't have that kind of career, you don't have those kinds of experiences, you can't contribute with all of your abilities if you're on the sideline. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to work in the public sector. What it means is find a place where you feel like you can make an impact and get in the game. I know that's something you'll do. I just want you to think about this for a second. 15,000 people applied to be sitting where you are today. 15,000 people applied to be Reagan Scholars. You're here because of the potential you showed us. And I owe a tremendous thanks to all of you, not just for being here, but for giving me my best work day of the year. And I said this to some of the scholars today. Through the scholarship program, I get to read the essays, the applications, read about the aspirations of some of the most amazing young people from across the country. And believe me when I tell you there is no better or more uplifting day than one day a year when I read those essays and reread those applications, your essays. It's then that I know our future is going to be okay, it's going to be great. I heard from volunteers of every kind, church volunteers, animal shelter volunteers, volunteers who work with disabled children, volunteers who are working to bring water, essential water supplies to different parts of the world. Stephanie, I know is here, started her own not-for-profit that combines her love for animals and her passion for preventing bullying and dealing with the consequences of it. It's called Possible. Did I get that right? Stephanie, where are you? Right? Possible helps raise the self-esteem of young people who've been bullied as they, in turn, help abused animals. Amazing. I heard from class presidents and team captains, editors of yearbooks, National Honor Society members, valedictorians. I heard from young people who work many hours each week at parks, restaurants, roofing businesses, and elsewhere to help with family finances and pay for school. And yet they all had sterling academic records. I read letters of recommendation that spoke of energy, compassion, leadership, determination, but also humor and fun. One comment summed it up perfectly for me. Take one look at this student's list of accomplishments to date, and you will only know a small portion of what she is capable. Ask Rose. Where's Rose? Oh, Rose, one of my interviews. For instance, about her plan to ride more little pink bikes throughout the world as she did in northern Thailand. Rose is going to change the world. I am completely confident. Sydney told me this. Now just listen to this. I have become fluent in both Hindi and Thai and plan to add Spanish, Arabic, and Swahili to my list, as my love for language corresponds with my passions for global humanitarian aid and development. Like, holy cow, right? It's like, you know, I can't tell you what I was doing, what I was thinking of at that age. Or from Alexis. Where's Alexis? She's not with us. Okay, so this is, I'll tell you what Alexis told me. She said, we were talking about leadership. She said, a boss says go, a leader says let's go, which I think is really insightful. And Alexis also said she wanted to be the first female president of the United States, and I told her she might want to vote next November to preserve that possibility, but I'm not going to get political. So much like Ronald Reagan himself, this room embodies the very best of America. As President Reagan reminded us, one of the worst mistakes anyone can make is to bet against Americans. And I think he would be proud to know that it would be just as much of a mistake to bet against the scholars whose programs share his name. So in the world of business, you can't afford to make too many bad bets. That's why for our part, GE invests in this program. For your part, keep taking inspiration for what made President Reagan such a remarkable leader. The ability to make human connections, a realistic sense of optimism and confidence, a belief in your ideals, and the relentless drive to get in the game, to contribute, and to have an impact. If you do that, you will become the leaders the world needs. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary. Just an honor to have you here. We're so glad you could make it all the way from the East Coast, so appreciate it very much. There's a few special guests that we want to make sure we recognize tonight before it's over, and they're all folks that I know you've met at one time or another in the last few days. There's Gail Wilson, of course, our former First Lady from the state of California. Where's Gail? There's Gail. Thank you, Gail. One of our 2011 scholars, Aaron Campbell. Aaron, I know you're here. Good to see you, Aaron. Our partner at Scholarship America, Mike Nyland. Mike, good to see you. Our Chief Administrative Officer, for which this week would not occur without her, Joanne Drake. Joanne, you're here. Great. Thanks, Joanne. Our Chief Financial Officer, Glenn Baker. Glenn, you're around here. Great. We also reached out to local individuals who are alumni of some of the universities that you all will plan to attend. We're pleased to have with us tonight Roy Blanco, representing Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Roy. Julie Levine, representing University of Florida. And Derek Waters, representing North Carolina State University. Thank you all for coming. This is our 5th year of the GE-Reagan Foundation Scholarship Program. As I said last night, and Gary might be right, I might be wrong, we're somewhere between 13 and 15,000 of your compatriots that applied and you ended up as winners from across the United States, and it's a record for our program. We asked all of the candidates about their activities at school, in the community, at home, and at work. And I know once again this year we received, as Gary was pointing out, just remarkable stories of leadership and service that gave us real confidence in this generation's ability to take the future and make it happen. After some really extensive thought process, where all the judges felt it was just terrible that we could only take 20. You are definitely the leaders who rose to the top. I personally want to just congratulate you on behalf of Mrs. Reagan, congratulate you on behalf of our selection committee, congratulate you for being among the very few that hold the distinction of having the scholarship. We hope that you'll wear it as a badge, wear it proudly, and serve as an ambassador for this program to all those that you meet in the future. We hope that this scholarship continues to motivate you to keep on leading. And we expect that to happen in college and way, way beyond. My hope personally is that we can keep right on funding this program to go for many, many years, because in my dream, we will one day have a convention of GE-Reagan scholars that you could fill a convention center with, to have 10,000 of you networking and working with each other to make the future a better place. So with that, Tony, if you might come up, as well as Gary and Gail, if you'll come up, because what we'd like to do is formally recognize each of you and perhaps take a picture, and we will write the checks up here for each one of you, right? No, we won't do that, but we'll certainly give you a token of our gratitude and look to see each of you up here. Tony?
Excellent. So what I will do is I will call your name. When you hear your name, go ahead and come up and you can take the photo and grab this. I'm giving the Cliff Notes version of all the things that you've done. Otherwise, I know some of you have planes to catch later this week, and we want to ensure that we do, in fact, catch those. So first up, we have Peyton DeYoung. Dedication is just one word to describe Peyton. Nearly across the board, Peyton devoted her entire high school career to numerous extracurricular activities. Not only that, she played a significant leadership role in most of those activities, including serving as regional president for the Student Council, chapter officer for Future Farmers of America, and president of her 4-H club. In athletics, Peyton brought her leadership to the volleyball court and the golf course, serving as captain of each team. She also excelled in the arts, serving as clarinet section leader for the varsity band, soprano section leader for the varsity choir, and assistant director for the drama club. She balanced these activities with a slew of service opportunities and part-time employment, many of which honor and support her rural community. From Philip, South Dakota, Peyton will attend South Dakota State University in the fall, where she will study agriculture education and agricultural communications. Congratulations. Braden Drevelo. Where's Braden? There's Braden. Braden is an Eagle Scout and captain of his school's speech team. While he dabbles in jazz singing and violin, by far Braden is in his element behind his piano. In fact, if we had a piano here tonight, he could put on a show for you that would blow you away. His proficiency has been described not as talent, but as a gift. He serves as an organist and pianist for numerous churches, entertains nursing home residents and wedding guests, serves as concertmaster for his school's orchestra, and has started his own piano academy for young students. Braden's dedication, perseverance, and consistency have brought him great musical success. He often spends more hours than the average adult workday perfecting his craft. One of 11 children, Braden is from Thief River Falls, Minnesota, and plans to attend Concordia College to continue his study of music in the fall. Congratulations. Stephanie Duno. Stephanie and her family emigrated from Venezuela when she was a young girl. Even then, Stephanie was captivated by animals and developed a sensitivity for their humane treatment. In 2012, Stephanie was asked to serve as an international ambassador for, I'm going to pronounce this wrong and I apologize, Huelitas de Amor, a Venezuelan-based organization that promotes a culture of respect for animals. She has contributed hundreds of volunteer hours to this organization, which has led her to start her own nonprofit that matches bullying victims with animals, as you just heard about. Beyond this passion, Stephanie serves as secretary for her student government association, writes for her school's newspaper, and plays on the volleyball team. And we think it's pretty great that Stephanie attended Ronald W. Reagan High School in her hometown of Doral, Florida. In the fall, she will head to the University of Florida to study biology. Emily Hamilton. Emily boasted a perfect academic record throughout high school. She is a varsity tennis player and president of the Freedom Club. As a member of the Governor's Youth Council, Emily has brought an anti-drug message to Utah legislators. Coping with her own early diagnosis of attention deficit disorder, Emily sought out leadership and service opportunities to encourage others who were struggling. When she was in 8th grade, Emily observed that elderly members of her community were lonely and could benefit from more volunteerism within her generation. She founded and fostered Utah Youth Connect, which has inspired the youth in her community to devote thousands of hours of service at local retirement centers. Over the course of her own 1,000 hours of service to this organization, Emily pursued strategic partnerships to raise money and awareness for her efforts. She's from Providence, Utah, where she was named Miss Providence and will attend Utah State University in the fall to study science and physical therapy. Congratulations. Sydney Kamen. Sydney is also a nonprofit entrepreneur, founding So Others Are Protected, or SOAP, after serving as a volunteer EMT in Thailand, Burma, Haiti, Uganda, and India. Side note, parents, how many of you have traveled to this many countries before college? SOAP collects discarded soap from luxury hotels and transports it to remote locations in Thailand, Burma, and India to address dire sanitation and health concerns. To help her achieve her organization's objectives, Sydney has been studying Thai for 3 years. In addition to her global work, she is involved at school, serving as president of the Girls Learn International Club, secretary of the Model UN Club, a member of the Rowing Club, a flutist, and a violinist. She's also a committee volunteer for the Children's National Medical Center and DC Central Kitchen, among other organizations. From Washington, D.C., Sydney will study public health at Dartmouth College. Timothy Lan. Continuing the theme, Tim was inspired by his travels to Mexico when he founded an organization, Brothers Against Poverty, to make an impact on the poverty rate. Since its inception, he has traveled to Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Honduras, including one trip on which his team reached 28,000 children in need through various efforts. Brothers Against Poverty also works with Habitat for Humanity in the local community, and Tim is responsible for recruiting and motivating volunteers. At home, he is captain of the varsity baseball, tennis, and basketball teams and serves as president of his high school's National Honor Society chapter, district representative for ASB, and a mentoring program leader. He is ranked number 1 in his class every year since 2011. It's no wonder that his contact at Habitat for Humanity calls Tim multidimensional. Tim hails from Bellingham, Washington, and plans to attend Stanford University in the fall to study economics and international business. Jasmine Mays. Jasmine and her family have known hardship, yet she continues to rise above and make a positive difference for others. Most significantly, Jasmine is a mentor to a young lady who herself had a troubled childhood. Jasmine has encouraged her mentee to use her story as a source of inspiration, power, and motivation. She hopes to extend this message of hope through her own nonprofit, which she intends to have a global reach. Active in her community, Jasmine serves as president of both the Dream of the Future Project and Hope of the Future Project, captain of the Junior Army Leadership Program, and secretary of the Student Government Association. She's also captain of her school's golf and volleyball teams. With all this, she still manages to run her own child care service. Jasmine, who is from Atlanta, Georgia, plans to major in business and computer science at the Ohio State University in the fall. Cassandra Corinda Mink. Sandy exudes hometown pride. This love of her small, close-knit town has driven her to give back, and you will frequently find her organizing local events to both celebrate and support the community. She serves as president of 4 different 4-H subgroups and chapter reporter for Future Farmers of America. Sandy is captain of the basketball and track and field teams and has worked part-time throughout high school. Unlike many of her generation, she holds true to her values and is a leader for the Idaho drug-free youth. Sandy is humble, but knows the value of her leadership. She states, "My contributions may seem small at times, but to someone on the receiving end, it could mean the world." Sandy, I have no doubt that many, many people have been touched by your service. From Idaho, Sandy will attend Northwest Nazarene University to study criminal justice in the fall. Congratulations. Smith Mulliken. As Smith puts it, he sought after leadership roles early on by observing others. He has served as student body president and secretary-treasurer of the National Honor Society. On the field, he is a starting varsity baseball player and head student athletic trainer. He is president of the drama club and has played a number of lead roles in musicals and plays. He is the lead guitarist for his school's band and also started a school-wide mentoring program. Most notably, he is a youth representative on the Family, Children, and Youth Board for his hometown of Galveston, Texas, where he established the For Youth by Youth initiative to celebrate the contributions of local young people. Now he has his sights on working for NASA someday. He will major in mechanical engineering at SMU in the fall. Next up is Christiana Oshotsi. After moving to Nigeria with her family at a young age, tragedy stirred in Christiana a passion for improving the public health systems of developing countries. Locally, she serves as president of the 3rd largest chapter of HOSA, Future Health Professionals. Christiana observed the unhealthy eating habits and lack of exercise in her community and created the Healthy Living Initiative through HOSA, which included awareness campaigns and programs. She also volunteers for a number of organizations that support the underserved in her community. Beyond her passion for healthcare, Christiana has played active roles in her student government, National Honor Society, the Science Club, the Beta Club, the Academic Book Club, and on the volleyball team. From East Point, Georgia, Christiana will study biology and global health at Duke University in the fall. And she's 16 years old, which I found out pretty impressive. Jody Pfeiffer. Jody's scope of service is vast, including beneficiaries such as special needs individuals, veterans, orphans, and animals. She lives by the premise that a facet of leadership is the willingness to help, guide, and empower those in need. Jody is regularly coordinating food and clothing drives, serves as a mentor for a special needs camp, and works with her family to host deer hunts on their ranch for wounded veterans and orphans. At school, Jody is student council president, a National Honor Society officer, and a member of Young Life. She is also chapter president for Future Farmers of America, district ambassador for 4-H, and an award-winning exhibitor of horses. She's from Cristoval, Texas, and will major in pre-veterinary medicine at Texas Tech University in the fall. Congratulations. Cindy Rajkumar. If Cindy sees an area of weakness or injustice, you better believe she will take it upon herself to address it. After being disappointed that her peers did not share her appreciation for art, Cindy founded the Human Empathy Rights Organization, or HERO, which advocates for medicine and international relations through artwork, poems, and essays. Today, this group consists of nearly 600 members at her high school and Valencia College, where she has been dual enrolled. It was at Valencia where she realized there was a deficiency in the support for pre-med students, so she started the Valencia College Pre-Med Club. Her activities extend further to music, politics, environmental sustainability, science, and swimming. Her vast service contributions include Health Central Hospital, Orlando Science Center, Second Harvest Food Bank, and mentoring. Cindy is from Florida and will study microbiology and immunology at the University of Miami in the fall, and also at the National Institute, intern at the National Institute of Health. Yes. She gave me the look that says, you're saying something wrong right now. Rose Ritter. Rose is a Girl Scout Gold Award recipient and captain of her school's mock trial team. She serves as executive secretary for the Student Government Association and team organizer for the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council. If you don't find Rose at school, there's a good chance she is at her local YMCA, where she serves as student board member and volunteer. Alongside powerful community leaders, Rose developed the skills and contacts to enact real change in her community. She started by forming a dive team to complement the swim team and served as captain of both. Later, she spearheaded an effort to bring a CPR program to the middle school, including recruiting volunteer instructors and fundraising for materials. I also want to mention that it is Rose's birthday tomorrow, correct? Yeah. So yeah, we threw you this party. From Port Townsend, Washington, where she has also dual enrolled at Peninsula College, Rose will pursue a major in engineering at Swarthmore College. Congratulations. Emma Ryder. Like many others, Emma's passion was formed by witnessing firsthand the unsafe conditions in the Third World. While many of us in the United States take clean water for granted, Emma came to understand that elsewhere in the world, a child dies every 10 seconds from waterborne illness. She founded the Quenching Souls to support WaterStep International, which distributes water chlorinators to developing nations. Over a 4-month period, Emma coordinated 20 groups of individuals to collect and ship 8,000 pairs of shoes to be exported to cover the cost of the devices. Later, she was able to lead a mission trip to Kenya to help install 3 chlorinators. Back at home, Emma is a battalion commander for the Army JROTC, drill team captain, and president of the 4-H and Future Farmers of America's clubs. Emma hails from Milton, Delaware, and plans to attend North Carolina State University in the fall, where she will study horticulture. Congratulations. I think we can start up a Reagan chapter of the Future Farmers of America based on just here. Gurpreet Singh. Gurpreet's life is centered around making good decisions. First and foremost, he chose to make his education a priority after seeing the value his father placed on learning. Instead of being tempted to stray from academics, Gurpreet has devoted himself to his studies as he strives to one day become a doctor. Not surprisingly, he is president of the Students Against Destructive Decisions. He also serves as secretary of the National Honor Society, a student government representative, co-captain of the Science Olympiad team, a builder for the First Robotics Club, and vice president of the Foreign Language Club. He holds down 2 jobs to help support his family, but also manages to volunteer at 4 different hospitals. He is from Flushing, New York, and will attend Fordham University in the fall to study anesthesiology. Sarah Smith. Sarah's advocacy began when she was just 14 years old. Beyond her years, she became aware that national funding for career and technical education was being cut. Realizing the importance of these courses, which include agriculture, family and consumer sciences, health, technology, and business, Sarah thoroughly researched federal policies and met with lawmakers. Through her roles as a Girls Nation Senator and a National Officer for the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, she regularly meets with elected officials on these topics. President of the Student Council and the National Honor Society, Sarah also serves as captain of the speech, dance, and track teams. She's also a member of Future Farmers of America and works as an assistant farmhand. She's from Brunswick, Nebraska, and will study family and consumer sciences education at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Anthony Steffen. Anthony's leadership is driven by the fact that energy and positive attitudes are contagious. He inspires and motivates those around him by believing in the team and persevering, regardless of the challenge. As captain of the football and track teams, his teammates rely on him to rally them toward victory. An artist, he is captain of the team that builds theater sets for the drama club. Outside of school, he works multiple jobs and devotes time to kayaking and his faith. He was recently named Volunteer of the Year for his local YMCA and has served many hours volunteering at a local health facility and as a car mechanic. He's from Naples, Florida, and will study pre-engineering at Florida Southern College in the fall. Congratulations. Courtney Thurston. Courtney, your resume goes on for days, and I'm not quite sure how you managed to sleep. Courtney has used her own life experience and struggles to contemplate how technology can help us improve efficiency, particularly around our nation's food supply. To address agricultural shortages, she is advancing a method called precision agriculture, using data to target pesticide treatments. Already at her age, she has been tapped by organizations like the Office of Naval Research, Aurora Flight Sciences, and NASA Langley. In fact, she already has an internship lined up with SpaceX, where she is the youngest ever employee, correct? Yeah. In her quote-unquote spare time, Courtney is an award-winning leader in numerous science competitions and STEM activities, particularly those that advance women in the sciences. She's from Des Moines, Iowa, by way of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and will major in computer engineering at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in the fall. Congratulations. Congratulations to each of our 2015 GE-Reagan Foundation Scholarship Program recipients. I hope you'll agree that the talent and drive present in the room tonight is a testament to the legacy of President Reagan and the strength of our nation's future leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us at this special place in honor of a very special man. It has really been our privilege to host each of you for the Scholars Retreat, and I would be remiss if I said goodbye to you without acknowledging someone who has put quite a bit into making this event a success. I wanted to thank our education and event team, but in particular, Miss Erin Korsval, who does so much work. So thank you, Erin. Erin wrote the script, and it's not in here, but I'm not going to let you get away that easy. So we are excited for what you're going to do on campus and beyond. This officially concludes our program. Scholars, if you'll please join us on stage with our judges who are here for a group photo. We're going to take a group photo, and then if you like, you can can stick around, stare at Air Force One is beautiful. You can look at that if you like. And then we have some gifts for our scholars on your way out. Please make sure that you collect those. And we also have gifts for our judges, Mrs. Wilson and Mr. Sheffer, which we will bring up to the stage after the group photo. So thank you very much, and please join us on stage.